His phone had been vibrating for 3 hours straight. 97 missed calls. Maybe more. He'd stopped counting around 40. His second in command. His accountant. The Busan family asking about a shipment. The politician he owned asking about a vote. 2 lawyers. 4 business partners. People who'd kill for 30 seconds of his attention. He ignored every single one. Then at 3:47 a.m., a text message appeared. No call. Just 2 words from a number he'd memorized 6 months ago. I'm sorry. His stomach dropped. He knew what those words meant. Had heard them before in his line of work, always right before someone did something permanent. He hit call before his brain caught up to his hands. She answered on the first ring but didn't speak. Just the sound of wind and crying. Not normal crying. The kind that comes from somewhere so deep in your chest you forget how to breathe between sobs. The kind that sounds like breaking. Where are you? His voice cut through her crying like glass. She tried to answer. Couldn't. Just kept crying, these awful gasping sounds that made his hands start shaking. He was already moving. He's gun, jacket, out the door. Elena, tell me where you are right now. I can't. Her voice splintered into pieces. I can't do this anymore, Jae-sung. I can't. Every muscle in his body went rigid. He'd heard that exact phrase 3 times in his life. Once from his younger brother before he OD'd. Once from a guy he'd worked with before he ate his gun. Once from a girl his organization had failed to protect before she jumped off her apartment building. Tell me where you are. He was running now, taking stairs 3 at a time. Elena. Focus. Where are you? Maple Bridge. Barely a whisper. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I can't carry it anymore. The line went dead. He got to his car in 40 seconds. Took corners at speeds that should have killed him. Ran 3 red lights and nearly T-boned a taxi. Didn't care. Couldn't care. Could only see her face in his mind and hear her voice breaking and think about being too late the way he'd been too late for his brother. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. He realized he was talking out loud. Stay there. Don't move. I'm coming. Stay there. Like she could hear him. Like saying it enough times would make it true. Let me tell you how the most dangerous man in Seoul became absolutely terrified of a phone call. How ignoring 97 calls from people who could destroy his empire became meaningless the second she needed him. How someone who'd killed 17 people without losing sleep started praying to a god he didn't believe in that he wouldn't be too late. My name is Kang Jae-sung. I'm 32 years old. I run what the police call organized crime, and what I call a business with unconventional methods. I move money. I move product. I move problems. Sometimes I make problems disappear in ways that don't leave evidence. I don't do feelings. Don't do attachments. Don't do anything that can be used as leverage against me. That's how you survive in my world. You keep everything and everyone at arm's length. You trust no one completely. You love nothing that can be taken away. Until 6 months ago when a cleaning girl looked at the worst thing I was about to do and decided her minimum wage job was still worth protecting. That was the night everything started breaking in ways I didn't know how to fix. I reached the bridge in 12 minutes. Should have taken 30. My car was still rolling when I threw it in park and got out. The Han River stretched out below, dark and cold and exactly the kind of place desperate people go when they're done fighting. She was there. Center of the bridge. On the wrong side of the railing. Just standing there in the same clothes she'd been wearing when I last saw her, hair whipping around her face in the pre-dawn wind, staring down at the water like it had answers. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. In my fingers. In my teeth. I didn't run. Running might spook her. Might make her jump. So I walked. Steady. Like I wasn't about to come out of my skin with fear. Elena. She turned her head. Looked at me like she was seeing a ghost. Her face was wrecked. Eyes swollen nearly shut. Makeup she never wore running in black streaks down her cheeks. Lips chapped from crying. She looked like she'd been breaking apart for hours. You came, she whispered. The wind almost took her words. You called. I answered. I stopped about 10 feet away. Close enough to talk. Far enough not to crowd her. Come down from there. Please. You ignored 97 calls tonight. Her voice was flat. Dead. I watched your phone. All those people trying to reach you. All those emergencies. And you didn't pick up once. They're not you. My mom died. The words came out raw. Scrape. 3 hours ago. I was holding her hand and she stopped breathing. And I did CPR like they taught me and I called the nurses and they came running but it was too late. She was already The words dissolved into sobs that shook her whole body. Something in my chest cracked. Actually cracked. Like a bone breaking. I'm so sorry. I have nothing left. She wasn't looking at me anymore. Looking at the water. No family. No money for a funeral. 15 million Korean wons in medical debt I'll never pay off. I'm so tired, Jae-sung. I'm so fucking tired of fighting and losing and fighting and losing and… Her voice broke. I can't do it anymore. I can't keep swimming when the water just keeps getting deeper. I know. I took one careful step forward. I know you're tired. I know it feels impossible. But there's a way out that isn't this. Come down and let me show you. Why? She looked at me with eyes that had completely given up. Why do you care? I'm just the girl who cleans your office. I'm nobody. You're not nobody. Then what am I? The question I'd been avoiding for 6 months. The answer I'd refused to name because naming it made it real and real things can be used against you. But she was about to jump off a bridge and I was out of time for self-preservation. You're the person I think about when I wake up, I said. My voice came out rougher than I meant it to. You're the person I look forward to seeing more than anyone else in my entire life. You're the person who makes me want to be something other than what I am. I had to stop. Breathe. Try again. You're the only thing in this world I'm actually afraid to lose. She stared at me. Jae-sung. I know what I am. I know what I do. I know you deserve better than someone with my history. But losing you would… My voice cracked. Actually cracked. I never let my voice crack. Please don't make me find out what that feels like. She was crying harder now. But her hands were moving. Gripping the railing. Getting ready to climb back over. I've got you, I said, moving closer. Come on. I've got you. She climbed back over. Her legs gave out the second her feet hit the bridge. I caught her before she hit the ground. Held her while she fell apart in my arms, crying so hard she couldn't breathe, shaking like she was freezing even though it wasn't cold. I've got you, I kept saying into her hair. I've got you. You're okay. I've got you. I held her on that bridge while the sun started to come up over Seoul and promised myself I'd never let her get this close to the edge again. 6 months earlier, I was supposed to be solving a problem. Some idiot was trafficking girls through one of my clubs without permission. I don't allow that. Not because I'm moral. Morality's a luxury I can't afford, but because trafficking brings federal attention and federal attention is bad for business. So I went to handle it personally. Send a message. Make an example. The club was closed. Should have been empty except for my guys and the idiot we'd zip-tied to a chair. But when I walked into the back room, there was a girl with a mop and bucket. She looked up when I entered. Took in the scene. Me, my guys, the man zip-tied to a chair bleeding from his mouth. Her face went carefully blank. I'll come back, she said quietly. You work here? I asked. Cleaning service. Third-party contractor. I come in after closing, clean until sunrise, leave before anyone shows up. I don't see anything. She said it like a mantra. Like she'd said it before. What's your name? She hesitated. Probably calculating whether giving me her name was the same as signing her death warrant. Elena. Park Elena. You've seen him before? I nodded at the man in the chair. The one who runs this place? She looked at the man. Back at me. No. I studied her. She was lying. But it was a smart lie. A survival lie. You're lying. Yes. She met my eyes directly. But you're going to hurt him regardless of what I say. My seeing or not seeing him doesn't change that. And I need this job. So no. I haven't seen anyone. One of my guys moved forward. Boss, she's a witness. I held up a hand. Stopped him. Kept looking at her. Something about the way she stood there, not cowering, not aggressive, just calmly calculating her best path to survival, reminded me of myself 15 years ago. Before I had power. When I was just a kid trying to stay alive in a world that wanted to eat me. How much do they pay you? I asked. 8,000 Korean wons an hour. Barely minimum wage. I glanced at her shoes. Worn through at the toes. Her clothes were clean but old. Her hands were red and cracked from harsh cleaning chemicals. You're fired, I said. Her face fell. Please, I need. From them. Not from me. I'll pay you 50,000 Korean wons an hour to clean my offices. Better hours. Safer work. You start tomorrow night. I pulled out a business card. This address. 9 p.m. Ask for me. She took the card with hands that shook slightly. Looked at it. Looked at me. Why? Because you're smart enough to lie and honest enough to admit it. That's rare. I turned back to my problem. Leave. No. Forget this address. Forget his face. Remember mine. She left. Fast. Didn't look back. I didn't think about her again until she showed up the next night. Exactly 9 p.m. Carrying cleaning supplies that looked older than she was. Determination written all over her face. That was 6 months ago. 6 months of her showing up every night at 9. 6 months of slowly talking to someone who had no agenda, no angle, no reason to lie to me except basic survival. 6 months of learning that she was putting herself through university while supporting her sick mother. That her father had left when she was 12. That she worked 4 jobs and still couldn't make rent most months. 6 months of something building in my chest that I didn't recognize and didn't want to name. Because naming it made it real. Real things could be used against you. Real things could be taken away. Real things got you killed in my world. But somewhere in those 6 months she stopped being the cleaning girl and started being the person whose smile made the 17 bodies I'd put in the ground feel slightly less heavy. I never told her. Never crossed that line. Kept everything professional. Safe. Distant enough to deny if questioned. Until that phone call. Until, I can't do this anymore. Until the bridge. Now we were in my car. Driving back to the city. She'd stopped crying but she wasn't talking. Just staring out the window with eyes that looked hollowed out. The funeral, I said quietly. Let me handle it. I can't afford. I know. That's why I'm handling it. Not a loan. Not a favor you have to repay. Just, let me do this. She was quiet for a long moment. Why are you being kind to me? Because you matter to me. I don't understand why. Neither do I. I kept my eyes on the road. Easier than looking at her. But I've stopped fighting it. The funeral was 3 days later. Small. Quiet. Just Elena, me, and a handful of her mother's friends who'd known her before the cancer made her forget them. I paid for everything. The service. The casket. The burial plot. The headstone. Elena tried to argue once. Saw my face and realized I wasn't going to budge. Let me handle it. I stood beside her at the graveside while they lowered her mother into the ground. Felt her hand slip into mine, cold, shaking, gripping so hard it hurt. I held on like she was the only thing keeping me tethered to the ground. After, I took her back to her apartment. 1 room in a building that should have been condemned. Everything she owned fit in that tiny space. Her refrigerator had kimchi, instant noodles, and milk that had expired 2 days ago. When did you eat last? I asked. She had to think about it. Yesterday. Maybe. I don't remember. I called one of my guys. Had him bring food. Real food. Enough for a week. Elena tried to protest. I ignored her. Watched her eat until she couldn't anymore. The debt, she said quietly. 15 million Korean wons. I'll pay you back. It'll take years but... No. Jae-sung, I can't just... Yes, you can. Consider it a bonus for 6 months of exceptional work. I stood up. Needed to leave before I did something stupid. Take the week off. But, come back when you're ready. I made it to the door before she spoke again. Why are you doing this? I looked back at her. Sitting in her closet-sized apartment surrounded by her dead mother's things and her own crushing poverty. Still somehow the most beautiful thing I'd seen in years. Because you matter to me, I said again. But why? I don't know. But I'm done pretending you don't. I left before she could see how close I was to crossing a line I couldn't uncross. She came back to work a week later. Showed up at 9 p.m. like nothing had changed. Started cleaning like the last 10 days hadn't happened. Like her mother wasn't in the ground. Like I hadn't pulled her off a bridge. You don't have to be here, I said. I know. But I need normal. Need routine. Need to feel like I'm doing something other than drowning. She looked at me. Unless you don't want me here. I always want you here. Something shifted in her expression. Okay. Then I'll stay. Things changed after that. Subtle shifts I tried to ignore and couldn't. She started sitting with me during her breaks instead of taking them in the hallway. Started asking about my day, the sanitized version I gave her, anyway. Started telling me about her classes, her professors, her dreams of becoming a social worker. I started scheduling my most important meetings earlier so I'd be done by 9. Started finding excuses to be in the office when I could have been anywhere else. Started counting down hours until I'd see her again. My second-in-command noticed. You're distracted. I'm not. You left a meeting with the Busan family early to get back here. You've never done that before. The meeting was finished. It wasn't. You left money on the table. He paused. It's the cleaning girl. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Be careful, he said. People are starting to notice. And when people notice you care about something, that something becomes a weapon. I knew he was right. Knew I was being reckless. Knew I should end this before it became something that could kill us both. I didn't. Month 7. Elena got accepted to a graduate program. Full scholarship. She told me at midnight while we were eating takeout I'd ordered, her eyes bright for the first time since her mother died. That's amazing, I said. I couldn't have done it without you. The stability you gave me, not having to work 4 jobs anymore, actually having time to focus. You did this yourself. I just removed some obstacles. You removed all the obstacles. She looked at me directly. Why? You keep asking me that. You keep not answering. I set down my food. This was a mistake. This whole thing was a mistake. But I was so tired of pretending. Because somewhere in the last 7 months, you became the most important part of my day, I said. Because I look forward to 9 p.m. more than anything else in my life. Because you're brilliant and kind and you see good in a world I stopped believing in. Because I stopped. This was already too much. Because what? Because I'm falling in love with you and I don't know how to stop. The silence was crushing. I just broken every rule I had. Just handed her ammunition that could destroy me. Just admitted a weakness that could get us both killed. Jae-sung. Her voice was soft. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I know what I am. I know what I do. I know you deserve someone who hasn't killed people. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. She was quiet for a long time. Then, what if I'm falling too? My heart stopped. Don't? Why not? Because I'm dangerous. Because people who get close to me die. Because you have a future and I gestured at myself. I'm the thing good people run from. You pulled me off a bridge. That's basic human decency. You ignored 97 calls to answer mine. You paid for my mother's funeral. You gave me stability when I had nothing. You look at me like, her voice caught. Like I'm something precious. No one's ever looked at me like that. I stood up. Needed distance. Needed to think. Elena, you don't understand what you're saying. You don't understand what being with me means. She stood up too. Walked around my desk. Stopped right in front of me. I know what you do. I'm not stupid. I've seen the men who come here. The conversations that stop when I walk in. The way people look at you, like you're both protection and threat. I know you're dangerous. Then you know why this can't happen. I know why it's complicated. That's different. She looked up at me. I've been falling for you for 7 months. I've been looking forward to 9 p.m. too. And I'm just as terrified as you are. If we do this, if we cross this line, I can't protect you from everything. There are people who'd hurt you just to hurt me. People who'd kill you and make me watch. Then teach me to protect myself. Teach me how to survive your world. It's not that simple. It is. You're making it complicated because you're afraid. She reached up. Put her hand on my face. I'm afraid too. But I'm more afraid of walking away and wondering what if. I caught her hand. Pressed it against my face. I've killed people, Elena. 17 people. Some deserved it. Some were just in the wrong place. I'm not good. No. You're complicated. There's a difference. You're making a mistake. Then it's my mistake. She smiled. Kiss me or don't. But stop trying to protect me from yourself. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. I kissed her. Broke every rule I'd made about keeping distance. About not having weaknesses. About survival. I kissed her and stopped caring about the consequences. The next 3 months were the best and worst of my life. Best because I'd never felt anything like being with her. Like coming home to someone who knew exactly what I was and chose me anyway. Like having someone to talk to who wasn't calculating angles or watching for weakness. Like being seen as human instead of weapon. Worse because my second was right. People noticed. Word spread that Kang Jae-sung had a girlfriend. That the untouchable boss had a pressure point. The first threat came in month 10. An envelope on my desk. Photos of Elena. Walking to class. At a cafe. Entering her apartment. And a note, pretty things break so easily. I tripled her security immediately. Moved her to a secure building I owned. Assigned bodyguards who followed her everywhere. She hated it. This is insane. This is necessary. I can't live like this. I can't have armed men following me to class like you're someone who matters to me? Someone people would take to hurt me? I grabbed her shoulders. This is what being with me looks like. I told you it would be dangerous. I didn't think it would be this bad. It'll get worse. They're testing to see if I'll react. If I'll choose you over business. If I show weakness. I pulled her close. And I will. Every time. Which makes you an even bigger target. Maybe I should leave. Go somewhere. No. My voice came out harder than I meant. We're past that. You think distance protects you? It doesn't. They know you matter. Distance just makes you harder for me to protect. How does this end? I don't know. But we find out together. The second threat was more direct. 3 men tried to grab her outside her university. Broad daylight. Her bodyguard stopped it, hospitalized all 3. But the message was clear. We can reach her whenever we want. I found out who sent them. Made sure they understood what happened when you touched what was mine. Made sure everyone understood. Elena found out. You killed them. Yes. Because they tried to take me. Yes. She was quiet. I should be horrified. You should be. I'm not. I'm relieved. And that scares me more than anything. She looked at me. What am I becoming? Someone who understands my world. Someone who gets that survival matters more than morality. I touched her face. Someone I love more than I've loved anything. Even though I'm changing? You're adapting. There's a difference. If you think love can exist in impossible places between impossible people, hit that like button. Because this is about to get so much worse. Month 11 brought the real test. The Choi family decided Elena was their way to break me. They couldn't beat me in business. Couldn't match my resources. But they could take the one thing I actually cared about. They moved during the 1 hour she didn't have bodyguards. The 1 hour I thought was safe because she was in my building. In my office. With me. I was in a meeting down the hall. Heard gunshots. 3 of them. Close. I ran. Burst into my office to find Elena on the floor behind my desk, one of my guards dead, another bleeding, and 3 men going through my files. Elena had the dead guard's gun in her hands. Didn't know how to use it but was holding it anyway. Blood on her face, not hers. Her eyes met mine. Drop it, I said to the intruders. My voice was flat. The voice I used right before killing people. They knew it. Started to raise their weapons. I shot 2 before they could aim. The third grabbed Elena. Gun to her head. Drop it or she dies, he said. I could see her trying not to shake. See her trusting me to fix this. See her love for me in eyes that should have shown fear. You're already dead, I told him calmly. Only question is whether you die quick or slow. Let her go and you get quick. Keep that gun to her head and I'll take days. Maybe weeks. You're bluffing. Ask anyone in Seoul if I bluff. I took a step forward. Let her go. He did. Pushed her at me and ran. I caught her. Made sure she was okay. The wounded guard needed a hospital. The dead one, Kim Min-ho, 26, married new father, was gone because I'd put him in danger. Jae-sung, Elena said shakily. What just happened? Someone tried to take you. To hurt me. The guard, he died. Because of me. Because I made you a target. I pulled her close. I need to send a message. Make sure this doesn't happen again. Don't. Please. This will just escalate. I can't let this go. They came into my building. They killed my man. They put a gun to your head. I made her look at me. This is what I am. This is what I do. Someone died because I exist in your life. Someone died because I have enemies. This is on me. I can't do this. Tears now. I can't have people dying because of me. I can't. Elena. I need space. I need to think. She grabbed her bag. I can't breathe right now. She ran. I let her go. Biggest mistake of my life. The man who'd held her at gunpoint lasted 3 hours before my guys found him. I kept my promise. Made it slow. Got the information I needed. Then I went to visit the Choi family. All of them. I won't tell you what I did. You don't need those images. Just know that the Choi family doesn't exist as an organization anymore. Know that Seoul's underworld got the message. Kang Jae-sung has a line. Cross it and he'll end you and everyone you love. But when I went to find Elena, she was gone. Not taken. Gone. Her apartment empty. Phone disconnected. University records showing emergency leave. She'd erased herself so completely it was like she'd never existed. I tore Seoul apart looking for her. Used every resource. Every contact. Every favor. Nothing. 3 months. 3 months of not knowing if she was alive or dead. 3 months of going slowly insane. Then at 3:47 a.m. on a random Tuesday my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Jae-sung. Her voice. Breaking. Crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And that's when I drove to the bridge. That's when I found her ready to jump. That's when everything came full circle. Now we were sitting in my apartment. She'd showered, changed into my clothes, was staring at tea I'd made her like she didn't know what it was. I left because I was afraid, she said quietly. I watched that guard die and I thought, if I stay more people die. If I leave everyone's safer. But I was wrong. About what? I thought leaving would make me stop loving you. Make me stop thinking about you every second. Make me stop worrying if you were alive or dead. She looked at me. But it didn't. It just made me miserable and alone. And I realized, I can't survive without you. I tried. I failed. Don't apologize. Just stay. Even though I'm dangerous to you, you're not dangerous to me. You're the only safe thing in my life. I pulled her to me. Come home. Is that what this is? Home? Wherever you are. That's home. She nodded against my chest. Okay, I'm staying. No more running. Promise me something first. Anything. No more revenge. No more destroying families. I know what you did to the choice. I know what you're capable of. She pulled back to look at me. If we're doing this, we need to find a way out. A way to a life that isn't this. Elena. I'm not asking you not to protect me. I'm asking you to find a way to do it without destroying yourself. To build something instead of just burning things down. You're asking me to change who I am. I'm asking you to grow into who you could be. She touched my face. Can you try? Could I? Could someone like me actually change? Looking at her, I thought maybe I could. I'll try, I said. Can't promise I'll succeed. But I'll try. That's all I need. I kissed her. Kissed her like she was air and I'd been drowning. Kissed her like we had forever instead of borrowed time. 2 years later, we were still figuring it out. Still navigating the impossible space between my world and hers. I'd moved most operations legitimate. Cleaned up the business. Cut ties with the worst elements. It cost me power, territory, relationships built over decades. But I gained her. Gained mornings waking up next to someone who loved me despite knowing exactly what I was. Gained the possibility of becoming better. She finished her degree. Started working with at-risk youth. Used her experience, used us, as proof that people could change. We got married quietly. Just us, 2 witnesses and promises to choose each other every day. Do you regret it? I asked her one night. Everything you gave up? I didn't give up anything. I chose you over fear. Over safety. Over easy. She kissed me. Best decision I ever made. My phone rang. 14 missed calls. Always business. Elena looked at me. You going to answer? Not tonight. What if it's important? You're important. They can wait. I silenced the phone. I ignored 97 calls that night because none of them mattered compared to you. That hasn't changed. You're getting soft, Kang Jae-sung. Only for you. She laughed. And I thought about how far we'd come. From a bridge to this moment. From broken to something like whole. The phone rang again. I ignored it again. Jae-sung, she said. Answer it. I'll still be here. I looked at her. At the life we'd built. Promise. Promise. I'm not going anywhere. I answered. Handled the crisis. Came back to find her waiting like she'd promised. Crisis averted? For now. Good. Come here. I did. Let her pull me close while she read and I pretended to work but mostly just existed beside her. This was what we'd fought for. Not perfection. Not safety. Just this, peace between chaos. Moments where we were just us. My phone rang again. I turned it off. She smiled. You're going to regret that tomorrow. Worth it. And it was. Every ignored call worth it. Every risk worth it. Every impossible moment worth it. Because at the end of everything, the violence, the danger, the impossibility, we had each other. She fell asleep against me. I watched her breathe. Watched her be alive and safe in mine. I'd ignored 97 calls to answer when she cried. Would do it again. Would do it every time. Because some things matter more than empires. She was my something. My everything. My reason for trying. And I'd ignore every call in the world to keep her safe. To keep her with me. To keep this impossible, dangerous, beautiful thing we'd built. My phone rang again. I threw it across the room. Tomorrow could wait. Tonight was ours.